Welcome back to another edition of the Unknown Sports Podcast. My name is AJ Musser. Joined with me, as per usual, Hunter, Harris, and Austin Fyffe. What's up, guys?
Austin, I feel like you progressively get in different perspectives of the fish tank in the background every show. Like every single show, the fish tank is positioned somewhere else behind you.
Honestly, I don't even know. Maybe I bet there's a subreddit going right now for our fan page on whether there's actually fish in there or not, or if they're beta fish or if they're goldfish.
They would all be wrong.
I bet he has a turtle.
I bet it's a blowfish.
Hunter's right.
Yeah, you seem like a turtle guy.
You seem like a turtle guy. What's a turtle
Not
guy?
so much me, but my wife's favorite thing in the world, I think.
Is turtles. I like turtles.
I like the kind of pet where I don't have to do anything.
Amen to that.
Hunter, you know what I should get you then? Back in the 80s, they used to sell pet rocks. I'll get you one of those.
There you go.
Those are collectibles, dude. Probably worth some money.
You're saying back in the 80s like you lived it, like that was your childhood.
It wasn't. It was before my time.
I mean, you're old, but you're not that old.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some football, guys. This last weekend, we had the wild card round. What'd you guys think of the games? Oh, hang on. What is that? A flamingo? Hunter?
Dude,
do you see a flamingo spotting?
You are just the ultimate pro. I thought you were going to forget, but this is why you're the host, man.
I just saw a flamingo fly out of the corner of my eye, and he turned into a beer can right in front of my face.
Bam.
Center Ice Brewery, the Flamingo. Kettle sour with blueberry and pomegranate. That sounds wonderful. Although, I kind of like the skates.
Skates. Is this an IPA? What is this?
I don't know. We're about to find out as we drink it.
I love it. We never know what we're drinking.
This
we
says,
just know what it looks like.
Hang on. We got flamingo, hockey slang for a player bailing out of blocking a shot by lifting one leg up and out of the way to resemble a flamingo. We learned something today on the podcast. That might be the first time anyone's learned something on this show.
It's always good when you can know a little bit more hockey slang.
Yeah, honestly, we should get Snapple to sponsor our show, and we can just have useless facts for everyone every episode.
Woo! Hey, Snapple facts sometimes saves lives. Okay, you don't know.
Is your favorite Snapple cap? Babies aren't dishwasher safe.
It's up there.
And that is sour. I like it.
Harley's taking her first sip of it. Oh, she took a gulp of it.
Yeah, she's got to get the whole palate.
She said, I'm going to have one sip. Let's find out. Let's get started on a game, though, as I drink to distract the viewers from looking at my face if they're even watching. If you're listening on audio, you won't hear me because I'll mute as I throw up. Let's start AFC again because that's how we started last week. Let's get going with the worst game in the AFC, the Chiefs and the Steelers. Let's talk about the blowout. Hunter, get us going on that.
Looked hairy for a couple minutes, and then it was exactly what everybody thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to break down in that game. The Chiefs were the Chiefs. The Steelers defense tried to handle it, but I mean, ultimately, when you don't get really any production out of your offense, you can't keep up with Kansas City.
Pittsburgh's defense is the only thing that made the whole first quarter watchable because everyone turned it off at halftime, I think.
Yep.
And after the third quarter, if you were still watching, then you definitely turned it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a really bad game. The Steelers were what we thought they were. Really bad defense with a good really bad offense with a good defense, but your defense can only do so much when your offense can't even get first downs. Big Ben, you didn't even play that bad in that first quarter and the second quarter. Whole first half, you really didn't play that bad. But, a couple drop balls and not throwing the ball more than 10 yards downfield does kind of hurt you after a while.
It was kind of nice to see, though, for his last game, him getting kind of, backed into a corner, held against his will a little bit there by the, you know what I'm saying. Rest in peace, Big Ben's career. I love it. But Chiefs, looking back in stride as well. I think that would, I would say it was about 85% of a Chiefs performance right there. As far as offensively goes, they need to just stay focused. Honestly, when they lose focus is when it starts to slip and starts to struggle. That should not have been a game there for the first 2 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have that though. Come playoff times, you're a little tight. You're afraid to make a big mistake, and then they did make a big mistake, giving Pittsburgh that defensive touchdown. And so it just took them a minute to kind of calm down. But that's ultimately what separates teams in the playoffs from the Super Bowl contenders to just people in the tournament is, certain teams, Pittsburgh and several other teams, most of them of which have been eliminated, they can't have an off quarter and still win a game. They have to be on it the entire game, and Kansas City's one of the few teams that can afford that. And showed why, at least to me, they're the favorite in the AFC for sure.
Well, we all got that pick right. Everyone picked Chiefs, and we got that right. Let's move on. Bills, Patriots. Another blowout, but this one I think we were all a little bit more entertained by, right? I mean, I was entertained, and I got my pick wrong. But I have a fun stat for you guys here. The Bills are the first team in NFL history to have a perfect offensive game. They had 7 drives with 7 touchdowns, and they had 480 yards of offense, and that was the most possible yards they could have gotten because of their starting field position every drive. So every drive they had, they ended with a touchdown. No team has ever done that before, and they did it in the playoffs against a Bill Belichick defense.
Yep. Who do you blame on the Steelers for this, or not on the Steelers, on the Patriots for this performance? Bill? No. Is it Bill? Anybody?
Yeah, I'm with Austin. I don't like the Bills. Literally just played a perfect offensive game. Like, you can't stop that. Mac Jones, in my opinion, didn't even play that bad, but he's not elite. We know this already. He's still a rookie, but also, just what are you gonna do? They went 7 drives and 7 touchdowns and got 47 points. Not much you can do there.
When you factor in what Josh Allen did with his legs during that game, if Josh Allen can play at that level, to me, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. If you can get that performance out of him. You're not going to. I want to preface it with that because that's not going to happen every week.
He's just too inconsistent.
His peak, though, with his running ability to run around people, to run through people, on top of being able to make every single throw in the NFL, makes his peak the highest in the NFL.
I still think Mahomes' peak is higher, personally. But I get what you're saying.
What do you think Mahomes can do with his arm that Allen can't?
It's just different types of angles. He's also got it as well, but it's just a little bit different with Mahomes. Mahomes will throw it back across the field, type of deal.
So does Josh Allen, but my thing with Mahomes being better just across the board, I kind of agree with you, Austin, that Josh Allen's peak might be higher. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes is better because of his consistency that he throws, and he doesn't really have the downs like Josh Allen does.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mahomes is more like 80% of his peak consistently. And Josh Allen's probably closer to 65-70% of his peak consistently, but that peak level of Allen's athleticism, I think, is unmatched.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
What didn't matter what they did in that game defensively. If you're the Patriots, they were going to kind of lose that game. Or excuse me, didn't matter what the Patriots did offensively. They were going to lose regardless. Mac Jones was still not good whatsoever. If you think he was, go back and rewatch it because it was not good. They don't trust him at all.
Okay, so
when they let him sling it, and hang on, when he did sling it, it wasn't too bad. The Micah Hyde interception, that's a perfect throw.
It is.
Like that ball is landing in the breadbasket on like a 45-yard touchdown pass, and Micah Hyde comes out of nowhere and snags it. Like, that's just an incredible play by the defense. That defense played out of their mind that night and took everything they heard about playing against the Patriots, the whole season. They took it very personally, and they stepped up in the biggest game they've had so far this season.
Yep.
This is why
But go
upside
ahead.
matters, though, as a quarterback. Josh Allen's literally a perfect example of that. I'd take Josh Allen every single day over a quarterback that's like an Alex Smith or somebody that's consistent, even though I will always continue to throw shade on Josh Allen because you guys seem to love him so much, and he's just inconsistent. He's not there yet. But I would always take a Josh Allen over a character of a person that's always consistent but at a lower level. Upside matters. You cannot win anything in this league if you don't have upside. Mac Jones may not. He's just got to get super, super efficient and super, super sharp if they're going to do anything with him, because there's a cap on how good he can be. And he's not even, 70% of Josh Allen. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, two things. I agree with what you're saying with Mac Jones, that he needs to end up being like an incredible, accurate passer and very efficient. But number two, Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Hunter like the biggest Cam Newton fan we knew of, like having really high peaks, but also just like an up and down quarterback? And yet he hates Josh Allen for being the same exact thing, but better.
See, the thing is with Hunter, he appreciates mediocrity.
You're right.
Hunter's favorite players. And so with Cam Newton, I don't think he ever had the perception that Josh Allen has. So I would say if I could read Hunter's mind, that's the difference. Is that Josh Allen is expected to perform at that elite level. Cam would show flashes and prove that he's better than people think he is, but never was really considered elite.
also, you got to factor in the fact that you guys aren't banging the drum for Cam Newton. You guys are banging the drum for Josh Allen every chance you get, so I have to go against you on that as well. So
I think we knock Josh Allen when it's appropriate.
We knock him. I don't tear him down and try to bury a grave like you do.
Yeah.
But, when you can criticize when it needs to be criticized. We've done that.
When he plays bad against the Chiefs next week, we'll come back to it.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have a come down game. Like, I'm fully expecting
Of course
We'll talk Bills Chiefs later, but
bold take. They're not going to go 7 for 7 on touchdown drives.
correct.
Probably not.
Let's move on to the next game that took place this weekend. Bengals Raiders. Controversial play in this game. Austin, I'll let you talk about it because that's something that you like to talk about. Big ref guy.
Big ref guy.
In the words of
guy.
Zach Broadstreet. So I'm just going to let you take that from there.
Okay, so we're breaking down talking about, I should say, not too much of a breakdown. It's pretty cut and dry. The play where I think it was Tyler Boyd caught the touchdown pass from Joe Burrow when he's running towards
Higgins.
the side.
Doesn't matter.
Very close to the out of bounds lane, clearly in bounds, but that's not what the official saw. The official saw him step out of bounds, blew the whistle while the ball was in the air, and Tyler Boyd catches it for a touchdown. Now, it's not hard. It's not complicated. The simple rule in the NFL is that when a whistle is blown, while no one has possession with the ball during the play is replayed. That's it. The only reason there's controversy is because the NFL came out and flat out lied about what happened during that game.
Right.
That's the only controversy.
Yep.
I get, and I agree with most people that saying it didn't really have an effect on it because it came late enough into the play that it probably doesn't change the outcome. The problem is that you're an NFL official. This is the playoffs. You have to call the rules that are implemented. Whether you think they're right or wrong does not matter. You have to enforce the rules that are in the rule book. And maybe everything changes. You can play the what if game 10 times, 100,000 times. And maybe it doesn't have a true effect on that outcome because the down just gets replayed. It's not that the down's over. But you have to call that. And the NFL coming out and saying the whistle blew after the catch was made.
Ridiculous. So stupid.
Just a flat out lie. And
When
that's why people think that the NFL is rigged, which I'm sure it is to a certain extent, but that's a whole nother conversation. But simple stuff like that is why they get attacked about stuff. Is because when it's cut, dry, plain, and obvious, they still try to deceive fans.
Yeah.
And that crew's not doing another game in the playoffs.
And they shouldn't. And that wasn't it. That was one of the worst officiated games I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, that call is not even the biggest thing that happened in that game. Like, that would have, obviously, they would have had to redo down all that BS. But it still wasn't affecting that play.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't have anything to add there, Austin. My biggest beef was just that the NFL came out and lied about it. I hate when anybody comes out and they're just like so blatantly wrong, and then they still try to be like, no, actually, you don't understand.
It would have been more interesting if, people call it Whistlegate, even though, it's over already. But it would have been much more interesting if the NFL tried to cover it up and then delayed the audio to make it look like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I just don't get it.
What about the actual game, though?
Take us through some more of the actual game instead of the controversy.
Okay. Bengals look good. I thought Joe Burrow started this game looking very sharp. They went right down the field and scored a touchdown. The next drive, they then force a Derek Carr fumble and get a field goal out of it. So good job on the Raiders' part. But it was a pretty good game. And then after that whole whistle thing, that took the game from being 13-20 to 26-13, and then 27-13. So once that happened, the game was kind of a little bit out of reach, and the Raiders still came back. Zach Taylor still left the door open for the Raiders to have a final drive, and the Raiders just couldn't pull it off. But I think that was by far the most exciting game this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Burrow was good in this game. That's always nice to see from a quarterback playing his first playoff game. He wasn't fantastic, but he was more than enough and efficient as heck. I also like the way Derek Carr played in this game. I think he showed a lot of character. I really think that he's the type of guy that if he gets to a good program and he doesn't have to do
He's not a guy.
He's not a guy?
No, if you're prefacing your argument with if he gets into a perfect situation, then he's not the guy.
Would you rather have him or Mac Jones?
Derek Carr.
I'd rather have Derek Carr every day.
I don't know. Are you the rest of their career? If I had to play a game right now,
The rest of their career.
I think I'd take Mac Jones.
I still think I'd take Carr.
All right.
I don't know where this Raiders team's going, though.
Going to get a new head coach.
They need a new head coach, and now they need a new GM.
Yeah, what do you guys think about
Mayock being out of the building?
Yeah, what do you think of that? Rightful?
That's kind of sketch, too, that they came out and said that they were looking or getting ready to interview for GMs before Mayock was fired, so that's kind of a kick in the pants.
Yeah, it was within the same day. That's probably just a wrong ordered leak of information. I doubt that Mayock.
I hope so. Informed. I hope so for his part because he didn't do anything to be disrespected in such a way.
No, he didn't.
No, but he did go 500 over 500 as a GM of the Raiders, and was the GM of the Raiders, getting them to the playoffs for the first time in a while. So he didn't do awful, but he didn't do good. No. I agree with you. He didn't do great, but he didn't do bad.
Drafted Henry Ruggs.
He gets a conditional exception here just because John Gruden was allegedly having some final say on some of these roster moves, especially on people that were being selected in early rounds. Because he was hitting on later rounds. Say allegedly.
Well. The guy was getting paid $100 million and was the first thing they brought in, and John Gruden hired the GM.
That's the one.
He had final say on everything.
That's the one thing that makes me be like, I don't know. Because he was hitting on some later picks there.
He's not going to be a GM anywhere else. I don't want him to be a GM of my team. No. I'm just saying, he doesn't need to be bashed.
I understand what you're saying, Hunter, but I hate that we give GMs that out. You're the general manager.
I agree.
You're the head coach's boss. Quit giving head coaches responsibility. If you're not the guy, that's fine. But then give Gruden all the credit. Give him all the credit, give him all the blame. But if you aren't getting to decide who gets picked as the general manager, newsflash, you ain't the general manager.
Yeah, and if you keep whiffing on those moves and you bring an Antonio Brown in and that doesn't work, and then you take a Cleveland Farrell and that doesn't work, and then X, Y, and Z happens.
And he brought in
at some
Casey
point,
Hayward. That's a good one.
There you go. At some point in time there, if you're Mayock, you got to take some responsibility for your own job.
Correct.
So, either way.
Yeah, and I mean that's my whole thing is that Mayock, especially as where his background and where he came from, and that's all he should have been was the draft guy, and he blatantly missed almost every early selection that they made.
Yep.
Yeah, he had like 12 top 100 picks, and they weren't.
No, they were
super
terrible. He hit on a couple late ones, and you want to give him credit for them, which I get. But you know who else has a couple hits every 6th-round pick? Every other GM. I mean, that's just
not the Browns. Not the Bears.
Actually, I think that's the only thing good they drafted was late round guys.
Maybe you're
They
right.
should try taking a quarterback late. That'd be nice.
Let's move on. NFC time. Let's hit up these ones, and then we'll go to our picks for next week. Bucks played the Eagles. That was the biggest snooze fest of a playoff game I've watched. Would have had a lot more juice if Minshew played.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bucks just steamrolled them, and that's all the analysis I have on this one. The Eagles, I don't even know how they were a playoff team because their record was better than other teams. But yeah,
because they don't play anybody, and they stockpiled garbage time points that made everybody think that their quarterback was good, and he's not.
The moment was definitely too big for Jalen Hurts. Go ahead, Austin.
The moment was even too big. It was just he sucks.
Okay, a couple things. One, he doesn't suck. Okay, I'm not saying he's your franchise guy. I'm not saying he's even in the category of good, but he's not terrible. Two,
yeah, he's no Nathan Peterson or Nathan Peterson.
Peterman.
Well, yeah, he's not that dude.
Yeah, so I mean, he's not terrible. I never know how to take the injury stuff that comes out after playoff losses because I'm sure some of it's legit and some of it's not. But every team, when they're eliminated, they finally come out and this player's dealing with this player's dealing with this. And sometimes it's when they're playing good and sometimes it's when they're playing bad. If Jalen Hurts' foot is really hurt and he can't run, I mean, that's a huge portion of their offense.
It's their only offense.
Yes.
So that's either a huge shot on the coaching staff for letting him play, knowing the offense isn't going to work as much. When we saw the jolt of the offense with Gardner Minshew, who's a better pure passer
than most quarterbacks in the league.
That's either a shot on the coaching staff or it's a lie from Hurts. Either way, it's probably a smart move by him to throw that out to the media, coming out in a walking boot to his press conference. Get yourself some sympathy, if nothing else. I think he played well enough to me. The Eagles have shown that they're not going to play Minshew. So if they don't believe in him, move on from him, and that's fine. But with 3 first-round guys, they're 3 first-round picks next year, Hurts, I think, has earned the right with this not being a good quarterback draft to give it one more go. And if you can after that year, your record will suck and you'll be in a spot to draft one the following season.
It's the Eagles' own fault, though, that he's going to get another year here because he's not good. We've seen it basically whenever they turned off their sayers, hey, we're shutting down the run game. That's basically what the Bucs said. And they had absolutely nothing. It was terrible. When did they score their first points? Was it the third quarter or the fourth quarter?
I don't know.
Fourth quarter. 12 minutes left. They had a 34-yard run by Boston Scott. He wasn't even the one that did it. So it's like, it's literally
by Boston Scott. Brought him back.
You're still watching then?
Yeah.
I looked at the screen, yes.
To me, like, if you're the what's the name of the coach again? Sornacki? Is that his name?
Sirianni.
It's inexcusable to not go to Gardner Minshew, honestly, in my opinion, by halftime. The way
I don't
Hurts was playing, man, he was playing
If Gardner
so bad.
Minshew is on this team next year, I'm going to be pretty frustrated. Like, I want
He
to see
won't
him
be.
on a team,
He won't be.
but I hope he's not. I hope he's on a team where they might actually use him. Austin and I were kind of texting back
he
and
wants
forth
to
today, and
start,
was
baby.
like, I know he does, and I would like to see him start. Like, if Pittsburgh can't get anything figured out and can't trade for anyone, who knows? Maybe they can sign Gardner Minshew, and Gardner Minshew can start for the Steelers next year. It's not going to make me a Steelers fan, but I'm not going to hate watching the Steelers.
Yeah, he needs a shot. He's played well enough. I know I sent the stat in the group chat. I mean, I know it's a small sample size and it's a skewed stat, but the only two people with a better touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history, with at least I think it was like 30 touchdown passes, is then Gardner Minshew is Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I get that's not enough to make him a franchise guy, but it's enough to give him a shot. Like, someone needs to give him a shot.
He won a few games. He won 4 or 5 games with the Jaguars 2 years ago, who can't do anything. Yeah. I mean, put him on a decent team and see what he can do.
Better resume than Jalen Hurts, that's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, next game.
One of them won many games that got to the playoffs, but yeah, maybe.
Cowboys, Niners, Hunter, Mike McCarthy, ya boy, showing up in a big spot for everything you've been ripping on him.
I love the guy. He won me so much money this weekend.
Austin and I will give you a little applause here for you ripping McCarthy all year and him showing up in the big spot just like you wanted him to.
I agree.
Go ahead.
I did too.
No, I know you did, but Hunter has been the Mike McCarthy hater, and we've even told him to ease up.
Truther.
It looks like, yeah, you're right. Truther. But Hunter, go ahead and stand on your soapbox and pat yourself on the back.
It's just the same thing that he's always been. Literally the worst clock management of all time, worst coaching decisions that you can make of all time in the biggest spots. And
give me one example how either one of those things happened in this game, Hunter.
All right. Do you want my laundry list here? That play at the end of the game is just a microcosm of who he is as a coach.
Worst play and worst play call I've ever seen on a 4th down. Yes, it is. They gave Dak 2 options too, and he took that one still.
It's terrible.
It's a poor call. Mike McCarthy not having the headset on, bonehead move, and then Dak saying, "I'm going to go with that one," instead of option B.
Also, if you're about to blame Kellen Moore right now, Austin, instead of him, it's okay. Good. All right, go ahead then.
I want to play, and AJ hit on here. I just want McCarthy not to be the only one blamed.
No, all three of them.
All 3 of them. Yes.
He gets a lot. McCarthy gets a lot of other things that took place in the game.
Correct.
But that's 100%. On all 3 of them.
Couple things. AJ hit on it here. Kellen Mond called the play. Okay, or Kellen Moore. He called the play, but he sent in 2 plays. Okay, if you send in 2 plays and you're Dak Prescott, you have to audible out of it. You've got to. And also, the fact that it came out that Mike McCarthy doesn't even have his headset on for that play in the game, what in the hell are you doing?
He's getting ready to go for his post-game massages.
Dude, that sentence should get McCarthy fired. I don't even care about anything else. If you aren't checked into your team and what's going on in the last 30 seconds of the game in a playoff game, how can you be trusted to coach a team day in and day out? I mean, it's completely inexcusable. That, to me, is the worst thing McCarthy did this weekend. Because if his team needed him for anything, you can't do it. If they needed the change in what was going on, for whatever reason, personnel, anything, that couldn't have been related to him. It's absolutely ridiculous. And him as a whole is just disgusting, as Hunter put. They had 14 penalties.
Every single year, his teams struggle with penalties. And what do you think the one common factor is? It's Mike McCarthy, the guy who's in charge of making sure that they stay in line with that stuff.
Yes. It's just...
And he's going to get another year.
Yeah, he is. Jerry Jones already came out and said it's not on the table when they asked him about a coaching change. So he's going to get another year, but...
I love it.
Let's spend 30 seconds on the 49ers.
Go
ahead, Austin.
Al Shanahan's awesome, and Jimmy Garoppolo still scares the living crap out of me.
Yeah, he's got the one bad pick a game. You can always count on it.
You can always
and it
count
always
on
comes
it.
at the worst time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
But
hey,
I
we
still
got this
think
game under control.
I still think the Packers need to worry about the 49ers.
Run game looked good. I mean, they were solid. I would like to see them put up more than 24 points against the Cowboys, though.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, this team is going to go as far as not Jimmy Garoppolo takes them, but how far he allows them to go. If that's
how long he gets hidden for.
Yeah, because he needs to. Well, he needs to make a couple throws. He's got to make a couple throws each game for them to keep advancing.
All right, next up on the list was the Monday night game. Monday Night Football. Los Angeles Rams, Arizona Cardinals. Actually, did they play the Cardinals? I didn't think they showed up. What do you guys think? I thought the Rams just were out there playing by themselves.
I thought they were practicing on air.
I think I did see a kid out there in like a white and red jersey running around, tossing the ball for his life. Might have been Kyler Murray. I don't know.
Would you say he was scampering out there?
He was a little scamp.
It's so funny. Like, when Kyler's good, you don't really notice his height. But when Kyler's bad, it's like he shrinks every time he turns the ball
does.
over.
He gets smaller. Yes, he does get smaller with every turnover.
Like, by the end of that game, I was like, is Kyler 5 foot? Like, is he 5 foot flat?
Remember that. That's the title of our episode.
And then the picture, Hunter, needs to be that one of little Kyler Murray that you like to use.
Yes, it's done. Consider it done, baby. Let's go.
I don't. Obviously, his height isn't the end of the world. He wouldn't have played this, very well at long stretches of the season if it was. But man, does it look bad when he's not going good.
I think the whole team looked bad. I know he looked bad, but like offensively, defensively, every aspect of the game, special teams.
It's because they're outmatched every aspect of the game as well.
Including coaching, which I think was a pretty big one.
There's a reason why we all went with the Rams for this game. They're better offensively, they're better defensively, and they have the better coach.
And I said last week, one of these two teams are teams that are notorious for not showing up. We all took the Rams and guessed that the Cardinals were going to be the team that didn't show up. And I would say we were 100% spot on because the Cardinals didn't show up in this game.
Of which,
that's literally all the analysis I have on this game.
As a podcast,
what do you guys have on the Rams? Go ahead, Hunter.
I just wanted to shout out us as a group, as a podcast, only getting one pick wrong. Shout out AJ.
Yeah, I mean, 17-1 and 3-0 on our locks is not bad. Pretty good return on investment there if you're betting on us.
And I picked the underdog too in my lock. So,
heck yeah,
yeah.
So, yeah, the only underdog to win this week.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we did well. But I mean, honestly, not to bring us down much, but this to me, outside of maybe the Dallas game, it felt like everyone kind of thought this was going to happen. But I mean, I here on out to me is where things could get weird.
Yeah, I think the rest of the games for the rest of the playoffs, like every team that's in it is going to be competitive in every game they play. So playoff games for the rest of the way are going to be really entertaining.
Yeah.
As long as the Rams show up.
Notable performances from this game. Matthew Stafford, burying everybody who said, hey, this guy just can't get it done in the playoffs. He's the reason why the Lions were losing. You're a moron if you're saying that. He is great, and it showed on Monday night. I mean, he was total control of that offense, completely comfortable. Him and Odell even now are completely in sync. Shout out Odell.
Dibs on JT.
JT, what do you mean?
In sync.
You said you were in sync, and
okay.
I called dibs on being JT.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed that one.
Yeah, no, Hunter, you're right. Tell me what you think about this. The only thing I thought might be a weakness coming out of that game, and I'd like to assume this is chalking it up to getting him going, but Sony Michel was a lot more effective in that game than Cam Akers, and they just kept feeding the ball to Cam Akers.
Yeah, and they had the right to do that too because they were destroying them.
Yeah, the game was out of hand, and I get you're trying to get him going and stuff like that, and I hope that's all the cases. But I really hope Sean McVay doesn't have, like this infatuation with Cam Akers, and Sony Michel is going to be a lot more effective, and he just sticks with him. I think Cam Akers has a super bright future. I think he's a really talented running back, but it didn't seem like he quite had it. He wasn't in the groove of stuff yet, and I hope that isn't an issue as we move along here.
Rams are not a perfect team. They have a couple of glaring things that I think needs to be addressed if they're going to win the Super Bowl here. Like I claimed they were at the beginning of the season. I'm kind of off of that now. But they're still a better team in every phase of the game than a lot of teams in this league, especially the teams in their division, which is why they destroyed the heck out of the Cardinals on Monday night. But no, I just love watching the Rams play, and I really do like watching Odell. I gotta say, you guys obviously know I'm a big fan of Odell, and I've been banging the drum all year for him. This is why you bring a guy like him in. When they're focusing on Cooper Kupp and they're doubling him, you need a guy that can win one-on-one, and that's what Odell does because he's a really freaking good player.
Browns really could use an OBJ on their team.
You know what? They probably could.
There is the one thing that I think is being taken away from that whole thing, and he has worked better than I thought, so I will give you credit there, Hunter. That was presuming that Robert Woods was going to be playing a ton when that move was made. So the whole fit thing there is a lot different now that Odell is the clear-cut number 2, and there's really no.
Yeah, and they're forcing him to be the number 2 because Cooper Kupp. Yeah,
they don't have to force him because he's open every freaking time they need him to be.
Yeah,
I think I was talking to you guys. I'm sorry, podcast listeners, and you guys are bringing up the Browns, but I think I said it to you, Austin, when we were talking this weekend. I was like, how come the Browns never ran schemes like that? Like, they're just normal passing routes. OBJ's running these routes and getting open with ease, and they never had him. The only short route they ever had him run was slants. I don't know.
Yeah,
we can move off the Browns, but they just piss me off.
Austin, your turtle back there looks like he's having the time of his life right now. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, ultimately, and I mean, we touched on it towards the end of the year. Again, one last thing on the Browns before we move on is that Sean McVay uses him much better. And that's we gave Stefanski some flack towards the end of the year, but this is more of an ode to Sean McVay and using him correctly and making sure he's in the spots where he can succeed. And I mean, this team has as high of a ceiling as anybody else in these playoffs. It's just whether or not they're going to show up and they're going to do what they need to do.
Him and Von Miller are literally like the same person offensively versus defensively right now. Older star. Doesn't quite have what they used to have anymore, but can still dominate a one-on-one situation, and then they get home a couple of times a game when they need to.
Well, and they have the ability, both of them, to your point, has the ability to kind of conserve a little bit.
Yep.
They don't need to go 100% on every rep. We saw it with Von Miller towards the end of the game, and actually in the last 2 games, to kind of put it away, that game against to go to overtime. It's against San Francisco too. You just saw there was like this look in his eye, and I was watching the game with a buddy, and I looked at him and I go, I'm just Von Miller, and like before I could even get anything out, you could just see it in him when he was standing there, and he plowed over the left tackle and buried whoever they were. I forgot who they were playing.
It's helpful sometimes when you're not the biggest name in town anymore.
Yep.
It allows you to play freer, and you're like, okay, I can breathe a little bit. Nobody's leaning on me here, because in the Beckham Browns days, it was this talk of, a lot of sports shows after he would have a bad performance.
Yeah.
Why is Odell playing bad? Why isn't he better? Is it Baker's fault? Is it Odell's fault? Blah, blah, blah.
Of course it's Baker's fault.
And ultimately, and it's not a shot on Odell or Von Miller. Some guys just, that's not their best version of them. It doesn't mean they can't perform, because they still are performing. But they're at their best when they're not 100% in the spotlight, and they don't have to be, and that's when you get really, really, really talented
teams. At least this point in their career.
Correct.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to picks. Next week's games, this weekend. Let's start with actually, let's go in order of when the games will be played.
Okay.
So Saturday afternoon, first game, Titans Bengals. I'm really looking forward to this one. King Henry's return. Titans team coming off a bye week. I saw that with 8 or more days of rest, what's his name, the head coach of the Titans? Remind me.
Vrabel.
Vrabel.
Coach of the year, Mike Vrabel.
Coach of the year, Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel's 8-0 with 8 or more days of rest between games. And this Bengals team looking good defensively. I have a note here that their pass rush is my biggest worry in this game. That pass rush started off the game. Their D-line started out decently, but then faded out in the second half of that game. They pretty much were a no-show, and Derek Carr had all the time in the world. That defensive line's got to step it up big time for this game against the Titans.
Because the offense is going to score points. To me, this is one of those situations where if this was a next year matchup or a year after, I'd be picking the Bengals. But it's not their time yet. It's just they don't have enough playoff experience. Plus, Vrabel is just too good of a coach to not come out with a plan to at least hamper that offense a little bit. If maybe it's going to be focusing a little bit more on Jamar Chase. Maybe it's going to be focusing on exposing that offensive line a little bit. Whatever it is, I trust Vrabel here to get the job done, which is why I'm going with the Titans in this game.
Go ahead, Austin.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go Titans as well, Hunter, and that's mainly supported with if Derrick Henry is playing and he's playing at 100%. If he's playing in like a moderated role, I think this game will be very, very close. But I think if Derrick Henry is healthy, I think that they could run away with this game. But this Titans secondary is going to have their hands full with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and the rest of that receiving core, because Joe Burrow's not going to let up, and he's going to, he's a pretty even-keeled player. And I think that even if they go down a score or two, that Joe Burrow's still going to be in it, and he's still going to want to be aggressive. And I think that Joe Burrow will keep this team in the game. But I'm going to go Titans by like 4 points, maybe 3. Might be a game-winning field goal.
You're up, bud.
You're on the clock.
Yeah, I'm compiling here.
Do it.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. We don't have a question there. I'm just depending on how I'm wording it. Cincinnati's going to win this game. I don't think Derrick Henry is back yet. Back to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
When an injury return of this magnitude, he is their MVP. He's their team MVP. If he cannot perform, which I don't think he will be able to, at his level, that is very deflating for teams. When you're expecting your guy to come back and be able to carry you, it's very deflating. Ryan Tannehill is not the better quarterback in this matchup. The defenses, to me, are about a push. And if you're going to tell me that the Titans can't do what they really, really want to do and don't have the quarterback matchup, Joe Burrow's that dude. He is that dude. He's that dude. I'm not going to say he's
that dude, though.
I think he's enough to where Burrow can handle it. The Titans secondary is not great.
Austin's picking Burrow more than he's picking the Bengals.
Which I fully support, by the way.
The Titans secondary, I don't know if you guys, but I think the worst part of the Titans team is their secondary. No team in the NFL goes empty more than Cincinnati Bengals. They are going to go empty early, and they're going to go empty often, and they're going to play hyper aggressive, and they're going to take chances, and it may burn them, but I don't think it will. I think that Burrow is going to have enough advantages. I think they have the personnel matchup on the outsides with Higgins and Chase and Boyd and Mixon when he's flexed out to have the chances to let Burrow make plays, or more plays than Tannehill will make in this game. And I think that's what it comes down to, and I think Cincinnati's going to win.
I totally get that pick. I just think it's a little bit premature for this year. This is the first time they've been to the playoffs and won a playoff game in how many years?
31, I think. First time since text messaging was invented. Fun fact for you. I agree with you there. My thing is that, and
that doesn't matter.
It's well documented on this podcast. I'm not a I'm not a big believer in the Titans. I'm just not. If they were playing Kansas City or Buffalo,
I'm not either. I'm
wouldn't-
just less
I
of a
wouldn't be
believer
in
in the Bengals. So
I just, to me, it comes down to quarterback matchup in this game. I think both teams are going to be able to run the ball fine, but not great. And it comes down to quarterbacks versus secondaries. And I trust Burrow versus Tannehill ultimately.
AJ Brown versus Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, that's because you're an AJ Brown hater.
it's Jamar Chase.
If this show blows up, like as a whole, I'm going to be the most hated person in Tennessee for like a long time.
If you had to pick a state to be pissed off at you, though, is Tennessee on the short list? Or
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's that bad.
yeah, like there's not a lot of consequences.
Especially if
coming.
it's only Titans. Like I don't know if I'd want to mess with like the University of Tennessee because college fans are kind of nuts. But like Titans fans, I feel like I could take Titans fans.
Yeah.
I'm going to say bring it on, Utah.
Oh man! All right.
Saturday night, we've got Hunter. Dude, we've got you.
Dude, I'm going to be on TV.
Hunter Harris in attendance for the Packers 49ers game. Austin, let's go you, and then we'll go me, and Hunter, we'll let you anchor this one.
Sweet. Works for me.
First of all, awesome for Hunter to get to go to a playoff game.
Yeah, good for you.
For my first
good for you,
Packers
pal.
Lambeau game, by the way.
First Lambeau experience. Could be the saddest one you ever go to.
Pretty awesome. I commend you, though, for purposely picking the last game that Aaron Rodgers will play as the Packers quarterback. I've seen it too many times, dude. I've seen it too many times.
Aaron Rodgers is winless in the playoffs against the 49ers.
Yeah, this team is going to run the ball really well. Screw it. I was definitely going to pull like an okey doke on you and say they're still going to win, but nope, I'm doing it. San Francisco's going to pull this game out.
Are you locking it up, dude?
No, I'm not locking it up.
Oh.
They're going to win this game. I've been saying it all year. There's gonna be a point here where they're gonna have to defend the run. We've talked personally, Hunter, about the Packers special teams, and this is gonna be a close game. And if Packers special teams is gonna be as bad as it's been all year, it's gonna come back to bite them. I think they're a better coach team. I think they're a better running team. It's gonna be freezing, and give me every opportunity I can take to pick the Packers losing in the playoffs. So sign me up.
This, to me, was worst case scenario for the Packers sitting at the 1 seed, is that they would end up playing against the 49ers in their first game. Because in my personal opinion, they're the biggest threat to Aaron Rodgers getting to the Super Bowl this season, followed closely by Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. But I think that the 49ers are just the Aaron Rodgers kryptonite in the playoffs. It worries me. I'm going to go Packers because I want to root for this weekend. I'm picking the teams I want to root for. And I would like to see Aaron Rodgers go to the Super Bowl because that just makes it entertaining for me. But this Packers defense has to show up in a bigger way than they probably ever have in their entire team's history. They need to show up. I know Rodgers is going to show up. If I wanted a cold weather quarterback, it'd probably be Tom Brady and then Aaron Rodgers because they're probably the two best cold weather quarterbacks to ever exist.
There's only 6 degrees in Buffalo last weekend, dude. Disrespectful.
Josh Allen's got some. He's still got some frostbite he's got to get to catch up to Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But
I agree.
I'm gonna go Packers.
My turn.
Oh, it's your turn.
Go ahead, Hunter.
I like to consider myself as a rational fan that looks at their team, and
No.
I'm not.
Sorry. Go ahead. Keep going. You're good. We don't need to spend time on that. Just go with your opinion. Go ahead.
I truly believe that I'm a guy that looks at his team and totally assesses what they do, right and wrong, and what they struggle at. And I really do believe the Packers are going to win this football game, and I think we're going to win it pretty convincingly. The Niners do a couple of things that we struggle with, or used to struggle with. We used to have a whole bunch of issues stopping the run. The beginning of this year, the defense did not look like we thought it would. Devondre Campbell stepped up in a major way. He's the main reason that I'm anchored behind, okay, we're totally fine here. We have a guy now in the middle that can play the run and can play the pass. And we have a defensive coordinator that has his head on straight, at least until proven otherwise. I'm going with the Packers here. Aaron Rodgers is playing, in my opinion, the best football of his career. And this offense is just humming on another level right now. Niners scored 24 points last week against the Cowboys. This is my lock of the week. Packers are winning this football game, and I can't wait to see it in person.
I like you letting it hang, locking up the Packers, and going to be in attendance. Kudos to you. I hope it's a win so that it's a really cool memory and it's a really cool experience. Because if they lose, it's going to be
if they lose
probably
again,
the most heartbreaking experience of your life.
If they lose,
it's going to be one of the two.
I'm going to. I don't know.
He's going to jump off the top of the stadium.
I'm going to overdose on cheese curds.
There will be such torn. If Green Bay were to lose in this game, Hunter will be so torn the next time he has a chance to go to Lambeau, because it will be, he knows it'll be an awesome experience, but he'll have that buried in the back of his head of he was
if
there.
I go.
Yeah. If I go, is it going to happen again?
Yeah.
Catch me in the third quarter when Jimmy G throws the worst interception of all time.
And he
the
will.
Packers, and it leaves the door open for the Packers to come back. I don't want to. I certainly don't want to be on that side of it.
No, I honestly, obviously Green Bay is a better team, right?
Yes, we all agree.
I do want to take a small clip of that last thing there, Hunter, saying that Devondre Campbell, the guy that's been cut like 6 times in the last 3 years, is the reason you're confident your defense is anchored. Yes, he's been good. Yes, he's been good this year, but that is quite the take there, my friend.
All pro this year for a reason.
Yeah, because there was really crappy voting. Green Bay is very good. Okay, as a Bears fan, it sucks to see that. This is a very, very good Green Bay team. However, the only thing that I think has a chance to knock this team off is all of the things that San Francisco does well. It's controlling the ball. It's running the ball. To AJ's point, this is not a good matchup for them. And a lot of the times in the playoffs, it comes down to matchups. It doesn't come down to who's a better team overall, because clearly Green Bay is the best team in the NFC, talent-wise, and how they've performed the entire season.
That Niners team that destroyed us 2 years ago, very, very different team than what we have in front of us this time. First and foremost, they're banged up as heck.
Nick Bosa questionable.
Fred Warner got hurt last game as well. I think he's good to go, though. He'll be good to go. They don't even have Richard Sherman anymore, who was playing out of his mind that year as a cover one-on-one cornerback there.
I agree.
So it's just not the same
the
team.
Super Bowl.
Jimmy G has shown several different ways that he can get exposed, and I expect the Packers to actually do that this year. And I expect us to not shut down the run game, but do enough to where Jimmy G has to make plays, and we all know Jimmy G cannot make plays.
The reason I'm any sort of confident in San Francisco here is San Francisco is the most versatile team in the NFL. They've got guys that can play. They have several guys that make your defense unsure of what to do and what to run. And Juszczyk being able to be a blocking tight end or a running back is an issue for defenses. Deebo Samuel coming into the game, you line up personnel-wise. Is he a running back? Is he a receiver? George Kittle, you have to treat him as a wide receiver and as a tight end. And with those three on the field at the same time, you have no idea if they're going empty or if they're going basically a 2 tight end set with Deebo going back there.
I'm scared of hell of anybody on that team. I'm not scared as much of Nick Bosa even as much as I'm scared of Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel's the biggest X factor in this game offensively for
The
the
dude
49ers.
makes pursuit
And I think he could
angles
be a
look
superstar
like-
next year.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be awesome, though. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah. That Saturday slate, I will be seatbelt buckled into the couch to watch those games.
What do you guys think I should wear? Stocking cap with the Green Bay emblem up front, or stocking cap and then the cheese head over top? Just cheese head, no shirt. What should I go with here?
Just cheese head, no shirt. That was for sure the best option we have there.
And you got to get your nipples pierced. Okay, Sunday games. First
brand.
one on the list is the Rams and the Bucks. This is going to be an interesting one. Tristan Wirfs injured, was in a boot after the Bucks game. I think what's Jensen? Is that the center?
Yep.
Jenkins, Jensen, something for the
Ryan
whatever.
Jensen.
The center for the
Ryan
Bucks.
Jensen,
Yeah, he got banged up a little bit, but came back in that game. If that offensive line is a little, I don't know, banged up, and Tristan Wirfs doesn't play, all pro left tackle, best left tackle in the league this season, probably.
Right tackle.
Anyway, I think that the Rams might have a heyday here defensively. If they show up defensively like they did against the Cardinals, I think they're going to give Tom Brady a whole bunch of fits. But I picked in my picks the Bucks to go on, and I'm not going to pick against Tom Brady because everyone looks stupid when they pick against Tom Brady. So I'm going to go Patriots because he's going to find a way. It's Tampa Bay, dude. Lock it up.
Yeah, lock it up.
I got a different lock.
I wonder what it could be.
Fine, I will. The Rams are winning this game, and I'm locking it up. This game's not going to be close. The Rams are a more talented team. Jalen Ramsey, give me him shadowing Mike Evans. There's no other weapons. The offensive line is banged up. Aaron Donald is going to destroy that line. Von Miller coming off the edge. You give me Tristan Wirfs with limited mobility with Von Miller's speed coming off the edge. Hand it to me. Give it to me. The only thing they can stop well is the run. Matt Stafford can throw for 350 yards. It's not going to matter. This defense is going to stymie that offense. The Rams probably only need to score 17 to 24 points to win this game at most. They're going to lock this team down. Brady's going to look super frustrated, and they're moving on here.
I want so badly for that, Austin. I want your prediction to come true. I'm just taking Tom.
I totally get your reasoning, AJ, and taking Tom, and I totally get your reasoning, Austin, and taking the Rams, and it's not close. But I'm somewhere in the middle here. I think the Rams are going to win a very close game. Tom Brady and this Bucs team, while obviously being kind of, what's the word, undermanned right now with some of their guys out here, I think that makes a huge factor, and that's why they can't win the game. But it doesn't mean this won't be close. Tom Brady's still awesome. I mean, like, he's still dealing at age 40. What is he, 45 right now? I don't even care. He's literally just still doing his thing out here. But the thing that they have to watch out for here in this game, obviously Aaron Donald up the middle, because that destroys Brady. And in the history of all of Tom Brady, we know one
Rush
thing.
up
one
the middle
thing
on
only,
Tom Brady.
and he will fail, and they will lose. I love your point on Jalen Ramsey being on Mike Evans all game as well. That's going to be a huge thing as well, and that's another reason why they cannot win this football game. The Rams are better in every phase except for quarterback. Give me the Rams.
Looks like we've got a couple of splits. Hey, if I go, 500 in my picks this week, I'm going to be, well, I guess I picked the Packers to be happy, so I'm going to have mixed emotions. I'm going to have 500 emotions to go with my 500 record. You guys think Antonio Brown's going to be in the stands for this one laughing?
In the stands? No. He's definitely not going to be in the stands. He'll be laughing. I don't know what voices in his head are going to tell him to laugh, but he'll be laughing.
I have to expect him to emerge from the tunnel at halftime.
And Bruce Arians
just without a shirt. Like, dude, this
somehow,
still did,
yeah,
this still
somehow,
doesn't have a
yeah,
shirt
without
on.
a shirt, but with the sideline pass, like he got sideline passes for the game to watch.
And he's just out front after the game and just trying to catch an Uber with his skinny jeans, black skinny jeans on.
Sunday night football, we've got Chiefs, Bills.
You guys pumped for this AFC Championship game?
I know, right?
Honestly,
It
Austin,
is the AFC Championship
I'm more
game.
excited about Saturday because I think this is going to be the biggest letdown of a game that's going to take place. I think the Chiefs are going to win this one handedly because I think that the Bills offense is going to have an off week. I just think it's going to be the down part of the roller coaster, and I don't see them winning this game.
I still think
I
it'll be a
really
better
hope I'm
game.
wrong,
Why
but
do you
I'm
think it's a
locking up the
blowout?
Chiefs.
Why do you think it's a blowout?
I just said I think the inconsistency roller coaster effect of the Bills going up and down. They just played an absolute perfect game last week. I just see them coming back down, and the Chiefs are on the uptick. The Chiefs are looking really good. They're looking better week by week offensively. I mean, it took them one quarter to get warmed up, and then Patrick Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns within 10 game minutes. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I think the Chiefs are kind of back to where they were, but the only chance they have is the Bills defense needs to be dominant, and Josh Allen needs to really show up and be really clean in this game.
I'm also going Chiefs. I think it's going to be a better game than you think, AJ. Defensively, they have enough to hamper that Bills offense enough. And this is another one of those situations where in future years, I might actually take the Bills. But they have to show me that consistency before I'm going to do that. Chiefs are just operating on a different level. They will get up for this game. Plus, they're at home. Give me the Chiefs.
I'm going to take Kansas City too. But I will say if Buffalo wins this game, they become my Super Bowl favorite.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If they prove that they can be that team.
Yeah.
I would rather take the Rams or Green Bay over them.
No.
To me, I get what you're saying, but to me, if that team that we saw is the real Bills team we're going to get in this postseason, they're the favorite to win it. And I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think Kansas City.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout like AJ said, but I get all of your fears and I totally agree with them. I don't think it's going to be a massive letdown though. But to me, I think Kansas City wins this game, but on the off chance Buffalo shows me what kind of I've been hoping they were all year, then I don't know who can stop them. And if you give me that Buffalo team in a Super Bowl on that turf in that stadium in Los Angeles, I can't imagine picking against them.
Anything else?
Awkward silence.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would love for Josh
dude.
Allen to win this game, but I'm picking the Chiefs. I took other picks with me wanting to cheer for things.
This is your lock, AJ, right?
Yeah, I'm locking up the Chiefs.
Okay.
I don't see them losing this game.
I am, by the way, I just want to say a couple weeks out, I'm terrified of the Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl. It'll be fun. It'll be sick. It'll be awesome to watch. But that also scares me as far as
Man,
matchups go
wouldn't
for my
karma
teams.
just smack Hunter in the face if that was the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes puts up a 40 burger in that game?
Man. It wouldn't even be that. It would be Jerick McKinnon goes for like 250 yards out of nowhere, and I'll be like,
And Mahomes still gets the
If
Super
we
Bowl
get-
MVP.
If we get Buffalo or Kansas City versus Green Bay in the Super Bowl, I don't care what my intuition says about betting on that game. I'm betting the over as high as it can go, and I'm going to enjoy the living hell out of that game.
let's go, Austin.
Yep.
I'm with you on that.
All right, and that does it for our picks this week. Austin, you got anything to add?
No, I mean, we didn't talk about the news, which Hunter should take care of right now.
I thought I was going to get away this episode without having to deal with this. Shit.
Nope.
Something? Anything?
Anything.
I have nothing. I don't know.
Lots of just really all the news is right now is head coaches and GMs.
Oh, didn't the Bears text Harbaugh just to say, "Hey, you up?"
Yeah, I love that you're like eyes emoji to that.
I'd love him there. I said it on the podcast earlier. That's one of my ideal hires.
You actually didn't say it on the podcast the other day because we had to re-record.
Oh yeah, that's
you
right.
Didn't
My bad.
say anything.
So that would be one of my dream hires for the Bears.
So the other day, I liked this really attractive girl's picture on Instagram as well. I think that we're moving in the right direction there towards coming together.
I didn't say it's ready to happen. I said that would be an ideal situation. Couple things. The Bills' assistant GM is getting a second interview with the Giants. Matt Eberflus is getting a second interview with Jacksonville and Chicago. And then Brian Dable allegedly impressed the Bears a lot and hasn't been confirmed yet, but is supposed to get a second interview there as well.
Dan Kuhn will be a head coach somewhere.
Yes, he absolutely will be head coach somewhere.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much does it for our podcast this week. Hunter, enjoy the game. Listeners, enjoy watching the games. Tune in next week because it's going to be a good show, whether the Packers win or lose.
Yes.
But it'll be a good one. So hope you enjoyed today's show. Come back next week. Until next time, take it easy.